Welcome to hooftec-online. In this how-to video we'll be looking at the customer and invoice creation process. Let's start with a customer. We tap on Customers and then the Add Customer button to begin. The screen groups data into sections for ease of use. Let's start with the customer's name and business information. We won't always know this information, but it's useful to record it where possible. It's worth noting that the trading name is the field that we use to address customer invoices, so this should always be provided. The herd information is used for analytics in the app. We may not know the exact herd size, since it is variable, but we can capture an estimate here. The options for herd types are beef, dairy, and other for mixed herds. We select the type that is predominant for this customer. Next up is contact information. We can enter multiple phone numbers and email addresses for each customer. It's not uncommon for one customer to have multiple sites or farms, and we may trim at each of those locations. In some cases the contact person at each farm will be different, so that's useful information to record here. Phone numbers and email addresses can have any label you want that helps you identify them easily. They won't be displayed to the end user. Similarly with the additional notes. These are just for your reference. For example, one of my customers expects me to print an invoice and leave it on the office desk, even if no one is around at the time of the trim. It's useful for me to record that here as a note to myself. These notes can be used for anything you find useful. We can also record multiple addresses for a customer. Again, these would represent individual farms or sites for the same customer. You should always specify the billing address which will be used to raise invoices against. We will see that in use on the invoice creation screen shortly. Next is price overrides. We cover pricing settings in another video in this series. Prices which are defined in the app settings are known as base prices. They are the amounts used for all customers who do not have an override set. For some customers we may want to charge less, or more, for certain services or products. We can set those overrides here. These will be used for all invoices raised against this customer. Now that we have added all the required data, let's save this customer. We can now raise invoices against the customer record to begin working. Invoices are required in order to begin trimming or scoring cattle. Let's create an invoice now. We can filter the customer list by typing a few characters. The list will filter down to the matched results. This comes in very handy once there are hundreds of customers in the system. When we select the customer, the billing address is populated from the option we defined on the customer record. The herd type is also pre-selected from the customer, as is the invoice type. In this case, we will be trimming. That's all we need to do to start working. Let's save the invoice. Since we raised a trim invoice, we are directed to the trim preview screen with the new invoice ready to go. We can now confirm the selection and start trimming. At the end of the trim process, we can finish the trim session and close the invoice. The trim process is covered in depth in another video in this series. Please see that video for more details on the trim process from start to finish. This screen is your chance to review the invoice, add any extra charges, and then finally close the invoice. Closed invoices are final and cannot be reopened. In this case, I want to add a travel charge of 55 miles before I close the invoice. Finally, I can confirm that the invoice is complete and we close it by tapping Complete Invoice. Closed invoices can be viewed in the trim reporting screen, printed as a PDF and sent to customers via email, message, or WhatsApp. We may also wish to send the customer a recheck report of the animals we identified during the trim. We can select the invoice, set recheck on the filter, and generate the PDF report from the trim reporting screen. In this video we've covered invoices with regards to trimming jobs, but they work the same way for scoring jobs. Finally, let's take a look at the customer import feature. If you have many customers on your books, importing them will be far easier than manually entering each one. From the customer screen, we tap on the import button. This will offer us two options. We begin by exporting the template file. Once this is downloaded, you can begin to populate the rows with your customer data. We specify one customer per row. For customers who have multiple phone numbers or email addresses, we add an identical row, but remove or replace the information we want to add. In this example, I'm adding a mobile number for the same user. When the CSV file is ready, we return to the application and import it. This will create the customers in the app. If you want to remove any customers, now is the time. Customers cannot be deleted if they have an invoice raised against them. Delete a customer using the delete icon on the customer list screen. That's it for this how-to. Thanks for watching.